Hi, welcome to Hypergrowth. Today we have a very special guest. It's Damien from Peoplewave. Damien, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Well, I run a business called Peoplewave. We're a brand new startup. We're about a year old, and it came out of some pretty horrible kind of situation. The company itself is a HR software company focused on really people analytics and solving a couple of big problems. But how we came about is, I was working at a big bank, and I had a new manager come in, and I was actually scheduled to have my first one-on-one with her. And I walked into the room, and I saw a HR guy there as well. I thought, oh crap. And I knew what was happening. It was happening in slow motion, and they gave me some papers, and I got retrenched. And, I was kind of I was dumbstruck. I was kind of going through a whole bunch of difficult emotions. And there was a bit of an epiphany in there, which was, I've never been a HR practitioner, but I realized that work isn't fair. And the mechanisms, the decision-making power about how you get to who gets retrenched, who gets promoted, and so on, it's very kind of fuzzy. So it kind of actually, after I was retrenched out of that great job, what happened is I left and I thought, I want to change the world. I want to see if I can actually focus on my passion, no longer working for a big company, but starting a business that is about making work fair. And that's how Peoplewave was formed.
Fantastic. That's a great story. So you turn adversity into opportunity.
Trying to anyway. So, and again, I've got a long history in marketing and doing digital transformation in a marketing context. So I've done things like e-commerce and looking at data. But, I think one thing I've noticed is that inside organizations, there's no data, there's no transformation. HR are really struggling with this, and that's an area I really wanted to fix.
Okay.
Yeah.
And specifically, what does Peoplewave actually do?
Well, very simply, what we have is a couple of products, but eventually we're trying to disrupt every aspect of HR. The first two products we have in the market is called the First 100 Days. That is a tool that allows you to onboard a new employee successfully. Now, you know what it's like. I mean, most hiring managers, they don't really want to have a conversation about whether you're going to pass or fail the probation period. So a lot of low-level performers go in and they kind of cruise through. On the other hand, you've got high-level performers who are kind of go-getters who come in and have an unstructured approach to onboarding. They basically kind of felt like they're thrown in the deep end, and they get very disillusioned. And we realized that 46% of new hires leave their company within 18 months. So that First 100 Days product is a structured approach to onboarding, and it gives you a data-driven view about whether someone should pass or fail their probation. The second product, and they're connected together, is Peoplewave. That's a data-driven reinvention of the traditional performance review. Now, I can tell you, ask anyone, ask a HR professional, ask an employee, do you love your annual performance review? No, everyone hates it. It's a process that just sucks. It's terrible. So we've actually tried to go from the ground up and reinvent that process. And we realized a couple of things. Number one, it can't be annually. It's got to be monthly. Two, you've left out the most important the most important people in that process, which are your customers. So if you invite customers, the team, and the manager to all give you a 360 review, that gives you a great level of performance. And of course, finally, what we do is we use an algorithm. So we found out just meeting objectives is not enough. It's a combination of your relationships, your skills, and also your delivery, which gives you a sense of your performance. So that's our second tool, Peoplewave, a data-driven appraisals platform.
Okay, that's great. How has it been getting this to market?
Surprisingly easy. So we started out just over a year ago. So in January, we celebrated our birthday. We've gone from me starting it out for the first 4 months, just basically validating the idea.
Just by yourself?
Just by myself. Now we're 17 people. We have an office in the Philippines, in Singapore, and Hong Kong, and we're about to open up in Australia, and we're now looking at other markets, including Indonesia and Malaysia, in the next kind of 6 to 9 months. So it's going really well. We've also found that we're solving real needs. Coming into a new organization, having a structured onboarding, and actually managing someone's performance is a real business need. And we're finding because our price point is quite low and the model is actually online sign-up, it's big businesses are attracted to us, shelving the big $1 million piece of software and looking at ours, which is a much more effective solution.
Fantastic. And I understand that you're funded now. You've got your seed funding.
Well, it can never be too funded, can you?
Right.
So we've just raised our 500,000 seed round back in December last year, but now we're actually on the trail looking for the next round. So
Right.
I'm happy to talk to angel investors and also more established kind of VC companies as we move towards our Series A.
Fantastic. And what's your proposition? What's your value proposition?
Value prop, really, from a product perspective, we're about saving companies time and money. We've had some clients who've had some terrible turnover issues. So our software lowers turnover in a company. Second, we actually have people that last longer. So it's really about saving HR time, saving the company time, and saving the company money.
Fantastic, fantastic. What are some of the challenges if for the entrepreneurs out there, right, who are at your level or about to embark in this fast-growing type of setup?
Sure. I guess there's three pieces of advice I'd like to give people. First, just do it. I mean, that's the biggest problem for most entrepreneurs. They don't do it. I mean, everyone's kind of thinking about the side gig versus their day job. First of all, just go.
Dive in.
Yeah, dive in. Number two, make sure you've got money. That's always a challenge. So whether it's your own savings or you're bootstrapping it or you're actually getting from an investor, make sure you're planned out at least 18 to 24 months and you have that money. Because the reality is you're always going to be kind of getting more and more money in the door, either from customers or from investors, but start off with the right amount of money or you risk failure. And the third and most important piece of advice, my favorite topic in entrepreneurship, is that most product-led businesses, tech-led businesses fail. The companies that truly succeed are sales and marketing-led businesses. For example, for many, many months last year, I was selling vaporware, a product that didn't exist. But we had people signing up, people interested. They were validating ideas even before we made them. And I find, even kind of amazing guys who are actually doing fantastic tech products or other products always fail because they've got perfect. They haven't got market fit. They haven't got something that people want to talk to, look at or buy. And I think if you can actually ramp up sales and marketing in the beginning phases of the operation, think about the value prop, think about your brand, go to market quickly, that's really the difference between someone who's got a great product but falls over and someone who actually kind of has more longevity.
Absolutely. I think marketing and sales more than marketing perhaps, or probably marketing more than sales, but these ones, they go hand in hand.
They do, yes.
Right at the beginning, where you're validating the proposition, as you say, go to market and getting the traction for the first few customers.
Yeah, my favorite saying at the moment is the opposite of perfect is fast. Or the opposite of fast is perfect. They're kind of mutually exclusive. So I find, be fast, don't be perfect. You can spend 3 years trying to build a perfect product. It's much better just iterating and being agile and actually getting something out the door fast. Same with marketing. If you actually provide a go to market, people will tell you very quickly whether it's a good product or a bad product. But you find out quickly and you can actually change based on that information.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Today it's not about ready, aim, fire. It's about ready, fire, and then aim.
Exactly. Doing them all simultaneously.
So all these reiterations.
Yeah. Well, it's an agile world, and I love the agile methodology. I mean, obviously you understand the lean startup and how that works. I mean, I think most people have adopted things like lean and agile. They're fast as well, and those are very successful companies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me about the product that you have. What is making it so attractive to the market?
Well, look at HR, and what they tend to do is they've got a very tough job, but their job is so distributed. They've got Excel spreadsheets, they've got a couple of different software vendors, and so on. But a lot of HR software is focused on the compliance issues, things like payroll and leave management and so on. None of it's really kind of elevating the HR function or helping employees. But what we do is, with First 100 Days, it's a very clear tool. When you start an organization, making sure that you're onboarded correctly, you know who to talk to, you know what your performance looks like, and it's transparent, that solves a real problem, and everybody loves it. It's a pretty unique proposition there. On the other hand, there's a huge amount of frustration around performance reviews, and actually looking at an alternative to performance reviews with 360 feedback and data-driven results is a breath of fresh air. So we're finding HR people saying, wow, this is going to make my life easier, I'm going to save time, and I've got an insight into organizational analytics and how to manage my people better, and everyone loves it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And just before we go off, one last question about funding and how what's your advice to someone who is looking for funding for their startup or scale up even?
Yeah, well, what happened is that for the first year I funded it myself. So I put a couple of $100,000 US into the business myself, and then of course we've raised our 500K round. What happened is that I immediately knew we needed a lot of money. So what I went out to is the VC companies and more established capital firms. And what I found is that they're very risk adverse. They're looking for someone with 3 to 5 years track record, already has loads of customers, loads of money, and they want a safe bet. But the reality is, if you're a 1 or 2 year old startup, you're not a safe bet. You're a risky proposition. So we actually said, you know what, maybe they're better for a Series A or a Series B discussion. So what we did is we went out to our network and we found a bunch of people who are amazing investors, wonderful angels, who had a vested interest in what we did. So potential customers who also became investors, people who are in a similar industry or coming out of the HR or HR consulting area who can immediately see the value of it. We found that the best way to reach those people was through our LinkedIn connections. So using social media to kind of talk about the business, get a friend to bring in another friend, and that was great. So we avoided the traditional VC route and went straight to angel investors. But also we've asked those investors to be actively engaged in the business, and they've helped us drive the business really fast.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good alternative if you're a fast-growing company.
Yes.
Now, many people are trying crowdfunding mode. What did you consider that, and what are your thoughts about it?
I did. I actually think it's a great idea, but there's a low level of education in the market around it. So, and my business is based in Singapore, even though we've got operations around APAC, and it's, at the time they had quite strict rules about who could and couldn't do crowdfunding. But I think it is the future, and I think it's a great platform. It does require a company to be very good at marketing, because you've got to get a lot of collaterals together, marketing materials, videos, obviously kind of PowerPoint presentations and so on. But I think at the time, the reason we didn't do it is that there just wasn't enough education or awareness from us and the expectations as a new startup, or for investors who wanted to get into the platform. But I'd use it in the future, definitely.
Yes, the future. Never too late, right? It's
Never too late.
Good to get money from all the different alternatives.
Yes, agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Damien. Thank you so much for having.
It's been a pleasure.
I think you've given some good insight, especially in the areas of funding, and also some of the advice for entrepreneurs starting up.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Great.